Hey guys, Civics Boy here, and today I'm going to be showing you the cable management that I'm doing. And I usually do my cable management in in two layers. The first layer is what I'm about to show you, and the second layer is usually the power supply cables. Now, before I get into that though, there's a couple gripes that I had with this case. Very minor though, not too big. Just a few things that I wish were done differently by Cooler Master, but you know, what can you do, right? But the first thing I want to show you is this right here. This is the CPU backplate retention cutout on the motherboard tray. Now here, let me kind of zoom in on that really quick. Now, if you kind of see, you'll notice that the CPU backplate doesn't really match up to that cutout. It's kind of off a little bit, and I don't know whether if it's the motherboard itself that's kind of weird, to where the CPU socket is just a little bit out of place as far as like what normally is done, or if it's just the case itself, if the cut is not where it's supposed to be. So I'm not too sure. I'm guessing it's the motherboard with the Asus 3 Maximus, because this looks like it's on the right spot, and the motherboard is just maybe a little bit off center as far as where the CPU socket is concerned. So that's one thing. It's going to make it kind of hard to remove and replace the CPU cooler, heatsink, and fan. You're probably going to have to take off the motherboard every time you do it, if you have an Asus Maximus 3 formula, or maybe with all the new P55 motherboards it might be like this. So for those of you who are thinking about getting this case, don't let this deter you from buying it. It's a really great case. It's just a minor gripe that you might have to deal with. Another thing that I'm kind of having trouble with, stand by. Another thing that I'm having a problem with, it does have a lot of cutouts or holes that are cut out on the motherboard tray. That's good for cable management. There's not a lot of holes where the CD drives and stuff, optical drives, and even in the hard drive cage itself. I know you can't really see that, I'm sorry. Let me reposition this. There's no pass-through right here. There's usually like a little gap to where it's the motherboard tray, and a gap to where the hard drive cages are. There's no gap. It's all closed off with the exception of a few holes, like right there. There's a hole right there. If you're routing cables through, you're pretty much limited to these cable management holes, which isn't that bad because it's still a great placement of the holes. As you can see, I got all my serial ATA cables running through and whatnot. So that's another gripe that I'm dealing with this case. So, you know, with the original Cooler Master 690, you had like a little spot that was open here to where you can, you know, run cables through. But with this one, you're pretty much stuck with the CPU, or with the cable management holes that's pre-drilled into the motherboard tray. Now, getting back to business. The first layer, like I said, I usually do my my cable management in two layers. The first layer is usually the front panel connectors, you know, serial ATA connectors and whatnot. And the second layer is usually the power supply cables. Now, as you can see here, these are all of my front panel connectors, from the audio jacks, USB connectors, power cable, you know, power switch and all that stuff. It's all running through at the top, coming down over here, and these little fan headers, what you see, is actually from my fan controller, the AeroCool Touch 1000, I think it's called. And it's all running through. There's a little hole right up here. It's actually on the top of the case. There is a little like a big square cutout, and right next to that cutout is an oblong shape hole that you run the cables through, and that's actually where these cables are coming from. Now it's running through that hole all the way down. I have it all zip tied down right here, and all these cables are zip tied down. Serial ATA cables are coming through right here, and I still need to kind of fix this up a little bit, but I'm probably going to zip tie this cable down somehow. But yeah, for the most part, everything's pretty much in place as far as the first layer of cables are concerned. And I can see now I still have plenty of room to work with. There's plenty of room behind the Cooler Master 692 Advanced case where you can just stuff cables if you didn't want to fix it, or you know, whatever. So that is the first layer of the cable management. If you're asking me how I do it, well, it's obvious that you use zip ties or even twist ties. I also have some double-sided mounting tape that these fan connectors are stuck to, and I also use those zip tie kind of sticky pad things where, like, you know, they kind of look like brackets. I wish I had one on me right now, but it's the ones you stick and you run the zip tie through and all that stuff. You can use those, but this case has a lot of the little indentations for zip ties, so you probably don't need a lot of that zip tie bracket, or you don't even know what it's called, so you guys are probably like, what the heck are you talking about, zip tie brackets? But so yeah, that's the first layer of cable management. The second layer is probably, I'm going to be doing that today. I'll probably do a video like midway through so you can see how it looks like. And let me think. That's pretty much it with the cable management is concerned for the first layer. So yeah, keep in mind, guys, when you are buying this case, the CPU retention bracket or back plate might not match up with the cutout on the motherboard tray, and there's no kind of pass-through area between the motherboard tray and the hard drive cage and optical drive cage. So keep that in mind. But then again, on the upside, there's a lot of cable management holes that you can work with. There's little slots up here too, to run cables through. So you're still pretty good. It's still a pretty good case. Alright guys, well that's it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more. Peace out.